Nigel Farage.
Thank you. Foreign Secretary, it would appear that the judgment, the potential judgment, next judgment of a spurious, rather political foreign court matters more than the issue of national sovereignty. And you boast that President Biden likes this deal. Now, the Speaker earlier on said that this House should not be affected by elections that take place in foreign countries. But I wonder, how confident are you, if the 47th President of the USA becomes Donald Trump, that he will approve of this deal, given the importance of our relationship with America?
Well, I'm grateful to the Honourable Gentleman for his question. Let me reassure him that we have sought to take views across the US political establishment. But I do say to him, to get a US President, a US Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs and Defence applaud this agreement should reassure him that the US would do nothing that would help our enemies, particularly the Chinese, in this regard.
In his response to Nigel Farage, David Lammy showcased an approach that, while attempting to defend the government's position, ultimately came across as evasive and superficial, leaving much to be desired in terms of substance and strategic reasoning. By leaning heavily on the approval of President Biden and high-ranking officials in the U.S. administration, Lammy appeared to prioritize international validation over addressing the legitimate concerns about national sovereignty and the potential shifts in US foreign policy depending on the outcomes of future elections. His reliance on external endorsements, rather than providing a robust, independent justification for the deal, highlights a recurring issue where politicians defer to foreign powers as a form of reassurance, inadvertently undermining the concept of self-determination and decision-making free from external influence. Lammy's argument, centered on the applause from the current U.S. administration, seemed to ignore the unpredictability of American politics, particularly with the possibility of Donald Trump returning to power as the 47th president. Farage's pointed question about Trump's potential reaction was not adequately addressed, as Lammy glossed over the implications of a changing geopolitical landscape and the risk of alienating a future administration that may hold a drastically different stance. Instead of confronting this critical concern, Lammy relied on platitudes suggesting that mere approval from current U.S. officials should quell any doubts, a stance that can easily be perceived as short-sighted and overly complacent.
For example, Oldham, which of course is on Burnham's patch, Greater Manchester. We know in Oldham there was a grooming gang leader, a rape gang leader, employed by Oldham Council, who was raping young girls. He was jailed for that. We can't trust these areas to model their own homework.
Rape gangs, Martin, paid for by the taxpayer, covered up by politicians, both locally and nationally. We need a full public inquiry into Pakistani rape gangs on young British white girls. Nothing else will suffice.
It seems like we're a step nearer to that with Andy Burnham's intervention today. Let's see what you say. That word limited is key. But anyway, there's a development, and there's another development. And the reason you've come in as well today, Lee Anderson, because one of the Labour MPs who voted down the Conservative amendment yesterday was Sarah Owen. She's the chair of the Women and Equalities Committee. And she today partook in a general debate, guess what, on tackling violence against women. And she had this to say.
What about the group of 70,000 men in Germany that had a group that shared tips on how to rape, how to drug, how to get away with sexual assault, how to wreak revenge on women and girls? Just in Germany, 70,000 men sharing tips on that. Can we guarantee that there isn't something similar happening closer to home? Probably not.
Right, just to explain what was going on there, that was the Labour MP Sarah Owen talking about an horrific group in Germany sharing tips on how to rape women. However, she then went on to discuss whether a similar thing was happening in the UK. Lee Anderson, that's precisely the point. The whole inquiry, the whole vote last night was to look as to whether this was going on in the UK or not. Was Sarah Owen aware of this?
It's unbelievable, Martin. I was sat in my office over in Parliament just a few hours ago watching this debate while I was working away on my computer, and when she come out with this tripe, this nonsense, I had to look at it again. I thought, my goodness, was she not in Parliament yesterday? Yes, she was. This has been going on for 30 or 40 years in our country. We know that, Martin. She's got the cheek, got the gall to stand up there and say it might be happening in this country. It's happening, young lady, right in front of your face, and you refused an inquiry last night in Parliament.
It's worth pointing out as well, in a longer version of that video that you've posted on social media, she started off by talking about the safety of girls in Iraq and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
She probably needs reminding, Martin, that she's not a member of Parliament in Iraq or Congo, that she's an MP in this great country of ours, and she's in a privileged position to be able to vote on things in that place over there. She had the chance last night to vote for an inquiry into these Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, and she refused to do that, and she's bleating on today in there. She's a complete hypocrite.
Okay, well, Sarah Owen isn't here.
Lee Anderson, a Reform UK MP, delivered a scathing critique of Labour MP Sarah Owen during a heated exchange regarding the safety of women abroad. Anderson accused Owen of neglecting a crucial issue by refusing an inquiry in Parliament the previous night. His remark, "It's happening, young lady, right in front of your face," was a pointed jab at what he perceived as a failure to address an issue of paramount importance. Anderson's confrontational tone and choice of words emphasized a sense of urgency, painting a picture of a political establishment out of touch with the immediate realities and dangers faced by women, particularly those traveling or living abroad. This exchange reflects a broader narrative in contemporary politics, where the safety and welfare of marginalized groups often become battlegrounds for partisan disagreements. Anderson's accusations were likely designed to spotlight what he sees as systemic inaction or denial, using strong rhetoric to resonate with constituents who feel their concerns about women's safety are not being taken seriously. His critique highlighted the perceived gap between political promises and practical action, accusing Owen and her party of prioritizing political optics over meaningful solutions. By directly addressing Owen in such a manner, Anderson sought to not only call attention to the issue, but also position himself as an advocate for accountability and immediate action. However, the delivery of his critique invites scrutiny. The phrase "young lady" stands out as a patronizing choice of words, which could undermine the gravity of his message by introducing a tone that some might perceive as dismissive or condescending. Such language risks alienating not only Owen, but also other stakeholders who may feel that gendered terms detract from the focus on the substantive issues being discussed. This rhetorical misstep could overshadow the legitimacy of his argument, diverting attention from the pressing issue of women's safety to the dynamics of the debate itself.